And so hopefully go ahead and start tagging your girlfriend so you can join us. And let me share this out as well before I bring on my guest. So I hope you guys are having a good Thursday so far. And in just a moment, we're going to get started. I'm excited for tonight. I have a guest, and it is going to be a conversation you definitely don't want to miss. So go ahead and get in. All right, so I'm going to share this out. Let's see. If you're coming on, please make sure you let me know that you're there. I can only see the number of people that I have on with me, but with the program that I use, I can't see who's on. So I would love to be able to say hello to you. So make sure you let me know that you're here watching with us. Let me know that you're here watching with us. Let's see, I'm going to let me know that you're here watching with us. Let's see, I'm going to let me know that you're here. All right. Hi, Anna P. Thank you for joining. All right. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I've shared this out. You can also share it out as well. And so thank you so much for joining us. Tonight, I have a special guest, Miss Alysia Dior. So she's going to be joining us in just a second, but let me introduce myself. I am R. Marie, your ambassador of hope. And I truly believe that where there's hope, there we find life. And so I am happy to be here with you. What I do is I position women to heal well, to be whole, and to live in freedom. And so this is what this show is all about, encouraging you to have hope, encouraging you to live freely and live fully in all that God has intended you to be as a woman, and also hoping that you find healing and freedom through this show. So thank you for those of you who are watching. If you haven't already, please follow Hope with R. Marie on Instagram and Facebook. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Hope with R. Marie. So again, thank you so much for being here with us. I'm so excited. I am going to go ahead and bring on my guest for this evening. And there she is. Hi, Alysia. Can you hear me well? Is everything going good? Can you hear me?
I hear you fine. Yes, I
Yay.
can.
I'm glad to hear that. I can hear you as well. And can you hear me? You said you hear me fine. I hear you fine. All
I,
right. So we're good to go. All right. And good evening, Dad.
we're
Thank you so
good.
much for joining us. All right. So I have with me Alysia Dior, and she is joining me. And let me just tell you a little bit of the backstory here, how we met. And so a dear friend of mine shared with me a TikTok video that Alysia did, just sharing her testimony. And so I knew the moment I saw her testimony that this was someone that I wanted to have a conversation with on the Time for Tea with R. Marie show. So I hope, ladies, that you're in for a very candid, real conversation. I hope that you have your tea, your coffee, whatever it is, and that you're relaxing, because we are about to go in. I promise you, you don't want to miss this. The topic for this evening is Hey Girl Heal. So we want, if you are watching, if you've gone through any type of situation, you still are not at peace, you still feel stuck in your experiences, you still, are upset with someone and cannot walk in forgiveness, whatever the case may be that is
Mhm.
stopping you from healing, we want you to listen. And if you are catching the replay, then, again, still share this information out, because there's someone out there that needs to hear what we are about to talk about. And so I was sharing, and Alysia has her cup of tea. Come on. This is time for tea with our Marie. So we are drinking some tea today. So again, she just has such a powerful testimony. But what I was sharing with her is that, our stories really matter. What we experience, what we go through, I believe that it is purposeful. I believe that God uses, and he does not waste any experience that we go through. However, I do believe that sometimes we stay stuck right there at the story. And so what God had just led me in talking to Alysia, and we just, we're talking about the show and what we wanted to discuss in the show. And what I really want to get to is the healing part, because we could talk about our experiences and swap stories all day long. And those stories are important. But the beauty of it is when you can get to the other side and walk out your healing. And so I do want to just have Alysia just briefly share with us as much as you're comfortable with, because I know that you have gone through some things that some of us have never experienced. But I know that you will be able to help those who have experienced what you're going through. And so, or what you have gone through, excuse me. So I want you to walk us
Mhm.
through some experiences that you've had, some of those things that you shared on that TikTok video. So just so y'all know, TikTok is not just for dancing and creating videos, but she shared a powerful testimony on TikTok. So go ahead and tell us some of what you shared there.
You're absolutely right. TikTok is not just for dancing.
Right.
My kids, they turned me on to TikTok, and it was, I was a little reluctant at first because I was like, that is for kids. I
Mhm.
am not getting on there. And my oldest daughter was like, no, mom, it's everybody on there. And it's a lot of people that are, sharing their talents and stuff.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay, I'll get on it. So me, I'm always looking forward to, sharing my testimony with
Mhm.
anybody because I want to uplift and encourage.
Right.
So I did a couple of my food videos because that's what I do as a profession.
Mhm.
But I felt led to share just a little snippet of my testimony. And I was uncomfortable,
Mhm.
but, you know, I've learned to be obedient to God.
Mhm.
So when he instructed me to share my testimony, I just, I was like, okay, let me figure out how to compile, bits of my testimony into 60 seconds.
Wow.
So, so I was just like, okay, I can write out a few things that I overcome,
Mhm.
things that I struggled with, but I've overcome. So
Mhm.
um, when I was younger, I've always known that there was something special about me,
Mhm.
but I struggled. I was that what people call in their families the black sheep.
Mhm.
So I was the outsider, the outcast, and I really didn't have anybody to really turn to. So
Okay.
it was just me.
Okay.
I went into foster care when I was 10 years old.
Mhm.
My mother um, is still addicted to drugs,
Hmm.
and I I struggle with that and being separated from my siblings at a young age. So I
Mhm.
was out there. I was the only one of my siblings that was in foster care because I have an older sister that's 7 years older than me.
Okay.
So she took the two younger siblings, and I remained in foster care. So I stayed in foster care until I was 17 years old when
Mhm.
I fought for emancipation, um, which that is to be released from state custody.
Okay.
Because in Georgia, you're legally considered to be an adult at the age of 17.
Okay.
So when I was 15 years old, I was brutally raped,
Mm.
and um, no one believed me because these people were well known, and I even knew them, and I thought that they were friends, not only to me but to my family,
Okay.
and so I trusted them,
Mhm.
but in me trusting them and being a little naive because it was an older guy and I
Mhm.
thought he liked me and you know so when I was asked out, I was excited about going out on a date, my
Mm.
first date.
Mhm.
So it was terrible. I will
Mm.
say that. I'm not going to get into the details of it,
Mhm.
but after that happened, because it wasn't just one of those situations where you're being all cutesy with the guy and then it just
Mhm.
goes too far. It was one of those situations where I was tricked into going somewhere other than where I thought we were going, and
Okay.
then held at knife point.
Wow.
So it was a brutal rape. It
Mm.
wasn't. It wasn't like he forced himself on me, and I was like, no, no, no. It was like you're gonna do what I say do, or
Mhm. Mm.
so I reluctantly like just I was like I want to live, so
Mhm.
I don't know mentally where they're at to even go this far.
Mhm.
So after everything was said and done, I told any and everybody I could,
Right.
but nobody believed me. I was hit with those questions. Why would they do that to you? So that was like my first encounter with self-esteem issues.
Mhm.
Because what do you mean?
Right.
Me.
Mhm.
Why would they do this to me?
Mm.
So I did overcome that. It took me many years to really overcome that because uh, I didn't get the counseling or anything that I needed when that particular situation occurred.
Mhm.
So it was like me just really leaning into God and really trusting God and believing God for better, and just knowing that my life would get better.
Right.
Um, it took years for that to happen. And I went through that. And then, of course,
Now, before you move on
at
to
the,
the, I'm sorry, before you move on to the next thing, I don't want to cut you off, but I also don't want to just
oh, no, no problem.
breeze over what you just said because I think that, it takes so much courage and bravery to even share that, what you just shared. And I know that someone that could be listening may have had a similar experience. And so I think one of the
Right.
biggest fears with women that have experienced that is, did I do something to deserve it, or am I going to be believed? Is the person that I tell and share this with, are they going to believe me? And so, can you kind of speak to what that even felt like to share that with people and not be believed? Can you hear me?
Hear you.
Okay. Do you need me to repeat any of that? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Mm-mm. I don't know if you're frozen, but I can't hear what you're saying. Do you still have your earphones on? Let's see. I can't hear you. Mm-mm. Give us a moment, guys. I'm sorry as we kind of go through some technical difficulties here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I can see you still, but I can't hear you. Let me text you to see, because maybe you think you can be heard. If someone is watching, if you can let me know if you can hear her, because I cannot hear her. Tell me what the sound is like, please, if you can, in the comments. All right, thank you, Anna. All right, so I'm getting comments that you cannot be heard, and you want to make sure that your device is not on mute. Do you have your volume up? Check your phone. Thank you again for those of you who are commenting. We're trying to troubleshoot to see why her sound is not on. Were you guys able to hear anything that she said, or is it just since I have not been able to hear her that you can't hear her? Hopefully you guys heard some of what she said. Mm-mm. It looks like they're saying they haven't been able to hear you at all. So I could hear you at first, but now I cannot at all. Thank you guys so much for hanging in there with us. We're trying to work through some technical difficulties here. Okay. All right. Thank you, Tori. I appreciate that. So you guys could hear her at first, but when I stopped being able to hear, it was the same time that you guys stopped. Okay, great. I don't know if you can see. I need you to check your phone. I'm trying to give you some troubleshooting tips that you can maybe try. Check your phone. I'm talking as if she can hear me, but I'm not sure she can, because I definitely can't hear her anymore. I mean, isn't this just like, when there's some good information that needs to get out, needs to be helpful? The devil is a liar. We are going to get this back up and running, I promise. So I'm not going to end the live. I'm hoping that she can, because those of you who are here, I want you to be able to continue on this same live. So I'm hoping that she will be able to get her sound where it needs to be. Thank you so much, Rolanda. I appreciate that. And so, what she was sharing, for those of you who are just joining in, and this is again time for tea with our Marie, we were talking about our topic for the night is Hey Girl Heal. And I can't hear you. And so I see her waving, but I can't hear anything she's saying. But she was just talking about some of her story that she had shared via TikTok, which is actually how I found her to be able to have her as a guest here on the show. And so she was sharing her story, how she was brutally raped, and I was just asking some questions about that because I know that there are other women that have experienced that as well. And so I was just asking her some questions. One of the things she said is that she was not believed and how that affected her self-esteem. So that's kind of to catch you guys up who are just tuning in with us, and hopefully we can get her sound working again soon. Let's see. All right, you want to make sure your device is not muted because we still can't hear you. And make sure your earbuds and everything is on.
What about?
Mm-mm. Maybe if you get back on your phone and then just end this call. Maybe get back on your phone and end this one.
Okay, let's see.
I'm sorry, guys. Again, thank you guys for hanging in there with us. We're trying to troubleshoot some sound issues, but I definitely want you all to be able to hear. So that's important. So be patient with us. Relax, drink some coffee, some tea. We're going to get it back up and running in just a minute. This is my little hug in a cup. I absolutely love tea. So I'm drinking some ginger tea, which is my absolute favorite. So let's see. If you have some tea, let me know what you're drinking. What's your favorite kind? All right, let's see. All right, Alysia, how we're looking? I still can't hear you, so you may want to burdock root tea. Okay, Miss Bridget. That sounds all healthy and everything as I know you are, sis. I miss you. I don't think I've ever even heard of that burdock root tea. So I'm sure you have a full story behind it.
Okay.
All right, now I can hear you.
You hear me?
I hear you. Let me know in the comments, guys. Do you hear her? Because I can hear her. Aw, because I don't want you guys to, I don't want to move on and you can't hear her. So if you can hear her, if you can speak again, Alysia.
Hello?
All right.
Do you know which one you can hear me on?
I do not. All right. So, but they're saying yes, they can hear. So that's all that matters. Okay. So we're going to go with it. All right.
Okay.
So we were talking about it, and I kind of brought them up to speed with where we were in the story. So you were sharing how just unfortunately how you were brutally raped, and you talked about how when you shared that information with those who you thought was close to you. I don't see you. I lost you on the screen. So whatever you, okay. All right. So now I see you. So go ahead and speak for me again so I can make sure I can hear you.
Okay.
All right. So I
Everything
think
good?
we are good to go. So I apologize, guys. She was on her laptop and she moved to her phone. And so hopefully now we won't have any more issues. But again, I was just bringing everybody up to speed as to what you were sharing. And so I asked the question what that experience was like to not be believed, because I shared that I think that that is a great fear among women who have experienced rape or harassment, any of those types of things, where they feel like they won't be believed, or they feel like they had some responsibility in what happened to them. So, can you speak to that, how that felt for you when you shared that and you weren't believed?
Well, initially it was very painful to go to the people that you love and you trust,
Mm-hmm.
and for them to not believe you.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of don't hold other people obligated to a trust level as you would your family members, your
Mm-hmm.
siblings. So telling other people outside of my loved ones that didn't believe me, it didn't have a negative effect on me.
Okay.
But when I told my loved ones
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't believe me, that was very emotional for me. It was
Mm-hmm.
very painful. And
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't understand um, why.
Right.
I couldn't understand why they didn't believe me,
Mm-hmm.
because I've never been a liar.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see if I was like the little boy that cried wolf,
Mm-hmm.
then I had never been that type of child. So for them to, you know,
Right.
not believe me,
Mm-hmm.
it was painful. It was
Right.
painful. But as I got older, I realized that the not believing me stemmed from them always making the accusations that prior to that event that I was
Mm-hmm.
already sexually active,
Okay.
because that was one of those things that they accused me of repeatedly, because I developed rapidly. Like I was
Okay.
11 years old with butt and breast, and
Mm-hmm.
but that to me, a lot of the times you get blamed.
Mm-hmm.
If an older man looks at you and you're a child, it's your fault.
Mm.
Um, Never understood that mentality. Like,
Right.
okay, first of all, I'm a child. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't done anything to, warrant this type of, behavior towards me.
Mm-hmm.
So you blame me, the child, for
Mm-hmm.
this man having these um, perverted thoughts about
Right.
me, a child.
Yeah.
So as I got older, I realized that that was all, you know, meshed together.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more so not them not believing me. It was more so of them thinking that, oh, you're just saying this because you done had sex now.
Right.
So it was okay,
Yeah.
what?
And I think
So
that that is such a real place when people that you expect to love you, you expect them to protect you and to guard you and to believe you when you're hurting. And so
yeah.
for that not to happen, then that in itself becomes something that you need healing from, because we have our own expectations, and especially for those, like you said, our loved ones and those that are closest to us. And when they don't do as we expect them to do because of the position that we have placed them in, then
Hmm.
it becomes that much more painful. So go ahead and tell me some other things that you shared in the video as well.
Okay. Well, I want to say this. That is traumatizing
Mhm.
someone that's already been traumatized. when you
Mhm.
layer on more trauma.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Most
So,
definitely.
yeah, that was what I was dealing with. So, I didn't even have time to heal from the trauma that I already had been through before I was overloaded with more trauma.
Right.
So,
Right.
as I said before, I thought that I had gotten over that situation, that ordeal.
Mhm.
But that situation and that thing happening to me, it really guided my decision making. And I wasn't even aware that I was making decisions emotionally
Mhm.
based on what had happened to me,
Mhm.
not just that particular situation,
Huh.
but everything that had happened to me
Mhm.
throughout my childhood. It guided all of my decision making. So I wasn't a very trusting person. And then again, I was a people pleaser. And then, so I went through so many ups and downs, just navigating through life, really just trying to find myself.
Right.
Um, so once I thought that I was in a place of, okay, I'm good now.
Mhm.
Yeah, it happened to me, but I'm not a victim. I control what I do and how I do it and who I do it with. So now I'm ready to date. I'm ready to have me somebody.
Mhm.
And um, when I fought for my emancipation at 17, that's when I met my high school sweetheart. And
Okay.
so it was, we dated the remainder of my high school and after we graduated. And then he went off to prison and then I met my ex-husband. Now,
Okay.
when I met my ex-husband, I just knew he was a godsend
Mhm.
because one, because of the rape, I had been told that medically that I would never have children. If I conceived, I wouldn't be able to carry a full term pregnancy.
Hmm.
So when I met my ex husband, now you just doing things you ain't got no business doing, just having your fun or whatever. And I became pregnant with my first child. So
Hmm.
I just not thinking you sinning already, girl. This, you ain't even married to this man. You ain't,
Mhm.
but you ain't got pregnant.
Mhm.
But in my mind, I was thinking, oh my God, this gotta be God.
Hmm.
Cause I was told I wasn't gonna be able to have kids and I'm pregnant.
Mhm.
This my husband.
Mhm.
So that was that 21-year-old mind of thinking that this is my husband.
Mhm.
This is the man that I'm supposed to be with for the rest of my life.
And
Because
I just,
this,
I'm sorry, I just got to stop you
I,
right there because I think you're bringing up such a good point that when we go through experiences and we are not healed from those experiences, we remain stuck right in that place. And so
mhm,
everything that we do is out of that place. Like you said, our
yeah,
decision making, who we interact with, things that, men that we choose, friends that we choose,
yeah,
people that we choose and allow them access to our lives, we remain stuck right in that place. And that's why sometimes when we look back in hindsight, those relationships were never fruitful, were never going
never,
to be fruitful. But because of
never.
where we were, that's what we chose. And you talked about when we spoke individually, and I love this, but I remember you saying that you had to take some responsibility for some of the experiences that you had experienced. So, talk to me a little bit about what that was like, because I think sometimes when we're going through pain, and obviously, with the brutal rape as you experienced, I'm not condoning that at all. That was
Right.
wrong, and who did that needs to be punished to the full extent. But what I am
Yes.
saying is that sometimes when we experience things, we have to own up to our responsibility of some of those experiences. And I know you
Mm,
mentioned that. So, talk a little bit
yeah.
about what that was like for you.
So I'll go back to the rape. And a lot of the times when I brought this up amongst groups of women, they become very defensive. So what you're saying is, it's my fault. I went through years of getting over blaming myself.
Mhm.
No, I'm absolutely not saying that
Mm.
it was your fault.
Okay.
It's never
Right. Exactly.
anyone's fault
Right.
but the victimizer,
Mhm.
the person, the abuser,
Right.
attacker. It's their fault because
Mhm.
mentally there's something off with that person.
Right.
However, there are things that we can do, especially as women.
Mhm.
There are things that we can do to protect ourselves. And a lot of people get in this place of saying, well, we shouldn't have to, be so guarded um, as women. We should be, we live in this society where, women feel like they could be equal to men and things of that nature.
Mhm.
That's a whole nother topic.
Right.
But
We don't even
when I
have time
say
for that one.
right. We don't even have time for that one. But when I say that we have to begin to hold ourselves accountable,
Mhm.
like for instance, for me, this is why it's important to build that relationship with God and to
Mhm.
allow the Holy Spirit to guide you, to
Yes.
allow discernment
Mhm.
to, be a filter in your life.
Yes.
Because at the age of 15, I knew that what I was doing was wrong.
Hmm.
But I so desired to do it because a boy liked me.
Hmm.
You know, I was getting the attention that I had never gotten before. But although my elders were telling me, you ain't ready, you don't need to be messing with no boys, you this, I was very defiant to that.
Okay.
you know. So, not that I'm blaming myself, I'm taking accountability for the decision that I made
Hmm.
that placed me in that situation.
Okay.
Because had I not have agreed to going
Hmm.
because I was so excited about being on a date with a boy when I wasn't even supposed to be on a date with a boy to begin with.
Hmm.
So we have to go back and trace our steps because
Yes.
that we got to get to the root
Yes.
of the
Yes.
issue.
Yes.
In order for you to heal, you
Mhm.
gotta get to the root of it. You
Right.
can't be on the surface. That's just like a wound. If you get a cut
Come on.
and
Mhm.
you keep that thing covered up, it's never going to heal. So
Right.
you have to uncover it. You gotta clean it out.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you got to allow it to heal.
Right.
But oftentimes, what we do, we just go on the surface. We
Mhm.
never dig deep. You want me to tell you why we never dig deep? We don't dig deep because we know.
Hmm.
We know.
Mhm.
And we don't want to face that part.
Come on.
That's real,
That
real
is a
ugly.
real place. That's a real place.
That is
And you're so right. That is why a lot of times we remain stuck where we are because we don't want to face it. We know the truth.
we don't
You know how sometimes you call your girlfriend and you're wanting advice, but you already know what you should do. You just
you
want
already
somebody
know what
to
you should do.
confirm or say the opposite of what you think you should do. But we
Like I told
already
the girls,
know, and when we are connected to God, and like you said, the Holy Spirit, He will give us warnings. He will let us know that, okay, we're moving in the right direction or we're going too far left over here. And so
mm,
it is our responsibility to first be honest about, God, I messed up. I'm sure, like you saying, when you were 15, you taking accountability for that. And obviously, again, not the rape, because I don't want anybody saying we're condoning
right.
that, because we are not condoning that. And again,
Uh,
anybody that does that needs to be punished. But I loved
yeah.
how God was able to bring you to a place where you knew that from the get go, you were somewhere that you shouldn't have been. And you were able
Yeah.
to be honest about that and say that had you not been where you were, then likely that wouldn't have happened.
hmm
And so I
Yes.
love that. So this is what I wanted to get to because, again, like I said, all of our stories matter. We can share our stories. I loved her story, Alysia, that's here with me tonight. And she just has, I mean, and that's not even the half of it, what we've talked about. I mean, she's talked about her experience growing up in foster care. She's talked about being brutally raped. She's also, her and I also share an experience. She's also lost a child when she was, I believe, what did you tell me, 7 months pregnant?
Seven. Mm-hmm.
And so, that can cause a lot of trauma and a lot of reasoning why you need to heal. And so that's what I wanted to get to because what I thought was so powerful in our conversation is that she brought up the point that, people kind of take a passive aggressive approach to healing.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be, first of all, let me just be really blunt and just say it is up to us to heal. It's up to us.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can do it for us. You know that
Okay.
there are some people, we all have had this girlfriend where you see them hurting and you know that they need healing and you're praying for them and you're ministering to them, but you can't do it for them because something in them has not resonated yet that they need to heal. And so they still
Mm-hmm.
would rather remain stuck. They still would rather remain in self pity and low self
Yeah.
esteem. And, they would rather just remain in that place because it becomes comfortable. It becomes comfortable to be in pain. It becomes comfortable because now you've kind of framed your entire life around what you've
Yeah.
experienced. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. And that's why when we were talking about the topic for this discussion, hey, girl, heal. Because out of the deepest parts of our hearts, that's what we want for women. And
Yeah.
so you have to be the person to start that process of healing. And so tell me, what was the turning point for you when you've gone through all of those experiences? What was the turning point? When did you say to yourself, there has to be more? Life has to be better. What was that like for
Well,
you?
I'll be honest with you. I've always had that ideal.
Okay.
Like there's more.
Mhm.
Life has to be better than this.
Mhm.
Um, I've always just had this resiliency. Like anything that I've ever gone through, I've always just decided to take a positive,
Mhm.
role on it.
Mhm.
Now, what happened, because I've had all kind of stuff happen to me,
Mhm.
but the most traumatic thing to happen to me that really just had me down was when
Mhm.
I lost my baby.
Mhm.
That was that was when I learned what depression was.
Mhm.
I had heard about depression, but I've always been an upbeat and lively person, and it didn't matter what came my way, I knocked it out and kept it moving.
Mhm.
But when I lost my baby, there was a it was like a domino effect of things because I was already dealing with an abusive husband at the time.
Mhm.
And I'm talking about at one point he was physically abusive, but the verbal abuse, the mental abuse was way heavier than
Mhm.
the physical because he hit me maybe twice in our whole entire relationship and we were together almost 20 years. So it was more of verbal
Mhm.
and mental manipulation
Mhm.
that I dealt with. It was a stronghold that I was
Mhm.
dealing with within my marriage. And so with my last child, it was very toxic. The relationship, I had tried to get out of the relationship twice.
Mhm.
So this was like third time's a charm situation. So this particular time, I had already been in prayer about, well, let me just back up a little bit. Let
Okay.
me just share this detail. So when I became pregnant with my last child, I absolutely did not want this baby.
Hmm.
Absolutely did not want this baby. So in my mind, I was like, oh my God, I am pregnant by this man and I don't want to be with him and I don't want to have any more children with him because I know me
Mhm.
and he knew that if I had another baby, guess where I was going to be? With
With
you.
him. Mhm.
And I knew that I did not want to be a single mother. That wasn't what I signed up for.
Hmm.
So the reason I had stayed with him for so long was because I feared being a single mother
Hmm.
because I knew that he wouldn't step up and be the father that he should be because
Hmm.
he wasn't even being the father that he was supposed to be in the marriage.
Mhm.
But he was only there because I was there.
Hmm.
So it was just like, well, as long as I got you, then I'll
Mhm.
do this, this, and this. So it was, excuse me for saying it like this, but it was almost similar to a a trick situation where I give you this if you give me that.
Hmm.
Although this is my husband, I could get him to do anything I needed or wanted him to do as
Hmm.
long as I was satisfying him. So it was one of those situations where I knew that this man didn't love me. He loved what I was doing for him. So
Hmm.
I feared leaving because everything that I had was attached to him because I wholeheartedly believed that I was in a marriage,
Hmm.
that, we've become one. And so everything, money, all of that was one.
Mhm.
And so here I was dependent on my husband. Like I wasn't working, I was just dependent on him.
Mhm.
Picking him up from work, taking him to work. I got to be there. We had gotten down to one car. And it was just like, I didn't realize what was taking place, but that was all a part of the manipulation and control. Where
Hmm.
now I'm not even as close to my family.
Hmm.
Now I don't have my own transportation. I don't have my own bank account. And I've always been an independent person. Always.
And that stuff,
So
that manipulation can happen so subtle where you're not really recognizing it. So
not
because it's just
recognizing it.
gradually occurring. Yeah.
I had no clue what was going on. Um, but just to that was the filler. So I didn't want the baby. So when I became pregnant, um, I was reluctant to even tell him. But the reason I didn't even consider abortion is because I've been through that before, and
Mhm.
that was very traumatizing for me.
Mhm.
And I made a promise to God that I would never do that again.
Mhm.
So me becoming pregnant this time, there was no alternative. Okay, you're pregnant, you're
Mhm.
having this baby.
Mhm.
So I was angry because I was like, God, I have been praying for a way out.
Hmm.
Now, a lot of people may not understand my testimony at this point because sometimes God's way out ain't your way out.
Right.
So me becoming
Honey,
pregnant with
that's
this,
a word all
I'm
by
just
itself.
that's gonna be honest. And I've told this testimony to a few people, and they're like, "So you really think that?" Listen, I don't think anything because I was on my deathbed when I lost my child. It
Mm.
wasn't. I wasn't just losing a baby. I was dying too.
Mm.
I was paralyzed from my neck down. I had
Wow.
lost so much blood that the doctor was like, "You're hemorrhaging, and we can't even administer
Hmm.
medication to you because your hemoglobin levels are coming back normal."
Hmm.
So they couldn't even give me a transfusion because the hemoglobin levels were normal. So they were
Wow.
just like, "Oh my God, she's still bleeding. What do we do
Mhm.
to help?"
Yeah.
But they couldn't administer me any type of medication for that because everything was coming back normal. All of
Mhm.
my tests, although I was losing a child,
Hmm.
my tests were coming back normal. But everything that was going on in that room was abnormal. And the doctors and the nurses were like, they were like this all over the room because they couldn't understand. They didn't know what to
Hmm.
do. They didn't know what was going on. I knew what was going on. So as I was there, I couldn't move any of my body. I could only like move my eyes.
Hmm.
Now, when I first came in, I could talk. They could hear me, they could understand me, but after a while, they couldn't even understand me, and I couldn't verbalize anything. It was like
Wow.
I was like, and
Mhm.
so I was really going through spiritual warfare at the time, and when when I was in the mix of that, I had a decision to make.
Hmm.
And all I heard was let go. And
Wow.
I was during this time, even though before I didn't even want the baby, at some point throughout my pregnancy, I became, I accepted the fact that I was pregnant. I went to my doctor's appointments and I began to, think of names for my baby.
Mhm.
I began to develop this desire
Right.
for my child.
Yeah.
So when I was losing my child, it was devastating to me because I'm like, now I've fallen in love with this baby,
Mhm.
and I'm hemorrhaging, and
Hmm.
y'all can't stop it. Y'all can't tell me,
Hmm.
what's going on with me. And I was fearful. I
Right.
was fearful. And we
I can
know that God
imagine.
does not give us the spirit of fear, but
Right.
I was fearful. And so the nurse came in. The last thing I remember was she came in and to check on me and to see if I was able to talk. And so
Mhm.
she was just like, I'm gonna do a couple of tests. And she was like, if you need anything, just blink your eye once, blink your eye twice. And so she asked me, did I need to use the restroom? And I blinked my eye. And she was just like, okay. So she went and got the portable toilet and brought it to me. And I got up and I used it. And immediately I regained feeling in my body. Like,
Hmm.
because it was her and another nurse, they had to come pick me up and put me on,
Hmm.
the toilet.
Mhm.
And as soon as I sat down, I could feel my baby just come out.
Wow.
But in that moment, I regained feeling in my body.
Hmm.
And I said, I spoke out, and she was like, "Oh my God, you're speaking. I can understand you." And so she was just like, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, "I think I just,
Mhm.
gave birth to my
Mhm.
child." And she was like, "Okay, well, can you walk?" And I was like, "I don't know." So they came over and they, pulled me up, and I was able to stand, and they helped me back to the bed. And in that moment, because God said let go, I didn't know that that was, me letting go. I
Yeah.
just simply accepted what possibly was about to happen.
Mhm.
And once I resolved in my spirit that, you know,
Mhm.
I'm
To
not
let go.
fighting,
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
when I passed my baby. And so they checked it and they asked me did I want to see and, all of the particulars.
Right.
So
Right.
after that, after me laying there and me really taking in what just happened and just really, you know, really questioning God at that
Mhm.
moment because
Yeah.
I understood, but I didn't understand. So all I know is that after that particular situation, it was a disconnect between me and my ex-husband. So I knew that that window was
Hmm.
open
Mhm.
for because I had already been told that it was life or death.
Hmm.
So God spared my life in that hospital.
Mhm.
But if I would have remained attached to that relationship, I wouldn't have lived.
Mm.
And I know that in my spirit.
Mm.
So when when I did get home from the hospital, 3 days later is when I packed up and I left. But the day before I left, my ex-husband threatened to kill me and the kids in a road rage. So he like was driving the car really fast
Mhm.
and was swerving all over the highway, and he ran up on a 18-wheeler truck, and then he ran up against the median wall.
Mhm.
And I it was something in my spirit that said it's not my time. So I told him that he has no power over me anymore.
Mm. Mm.
And when I told him that, he looked at me as though he might have saw, God himself.
Right.
It was like he was like, I had never spoken with such authority with him.
Mhm.
But I let him know that
But
you don't have
that
any power.
authority rose up in you at that point.
So that next day took him to work and uh packed up some clothes and called a friend and said, I gotta go.
Mhm.
And that was it. And I never looked back
And,
after that.
wow. And when you said, I mean, I just hear that even for people that are listening, that some situations that you may even be walking through right now, that you can
Hmm.
proclaim that it has no more power over you.
No more power.
And really, once we release that, I mean, what we went through, is it painful? Yes. Did it hurt? Yes. But once we're able to move beyond the it happened, it hurt, then we're able to move to heal. And
Hmm.
so when we're talking about, hey girl, heal, because you're sharing so much of your testimony, and also, just some nuggets that you've learned as you walk this out. And sometimes,
Hmm.
we as Christians, we read the word of God, but sometimes our experiences cause us to really live the Bible out. It causes us to live out what we're reading on a day to day basis and really test our faith to see if we're really true, like if we were really, really for God. And so sometimes,
Yeah.
I believe He allows some of those things to really test us. Which power are we going to believe? Whose authority is going to rise up in us? And so I love that you said that. So even beyond, just knowing that this was your time to let go of that situation, and just some of the other
Hmm.
experiences that you shared, that God really spoke to you and let you know that you were moving
Hmm.
forward in that situation. So, what would you say then to women who are still dwelling on some things that they have experienced? They don't know how to move forward. They have not reached that point yet to even be honest about where they are, or forgive those that may need to be forgiven. What is something that you can say to these women that you may have done, even if it's on a daily basis, so that you're not dwelling on those experiences?
Well, my first thing I would advise any woman to do is to get honest with herself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
To
step
be
one.
very
Yep.
honest with
Yep.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And after you become very honest with yourself, now you got to forgive yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to reveal some things about you that you don't even like.
Come
And
on.
that's why you suppress them.
Right. Right.
And that's why you have found a way to either pass the blame
Mm-hmm.
or to be secretive about it,
Right.
you know, um, because you're ashamed
Mm-hmm.
of some decisions that you've made, some things that you've been through.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only way you're going to be free.
Right.
Is if you can't be honest with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you are never going to be able to be honest with anybody else.
Right. So
You're not going to be able to do it.
there's no need to go to therapy. There's no need to see a coach. There's no need to, because you can't sit on somebody else's chair and be honest
No,
if you're not honest
no,
here first. Yeah,
no.
that's so true.
If
We
you
go
if
ahead.
you decide to go seek counseling and
Mhm.
go and get a life coach,
Mhm.
uh, and you have not been honest with yourself, you're wasting your time, and you're wasting your money, and you're
Mhm.
wasting their time.
Right, because you're coming in as a facade of something. You're
You,
bringing a
you're being told,
representative of you, but you're not bringing
yeah,
the real you So
You're
that's
not
that's
bringing no
step
real
one.
you
That's step one. You got to be honest, and I think
honest
that's what's so
leadership.
hard for people because it's so hard to face the woman in the mirror. It's hard
Mm,
to accept, why did I choose that man? Why did I stay with that man? Why did I have, even some of my friendships? Why do I allow myself to be taken advantage of? Why, did I put myself in that situation? That's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of us.
yeah. And a
It's,
lot of us, um, you know how they say opposites attract,
mhm,
or you attract what you are.
mhm,
So a lot of people get defensive when you tell them that too. So I had to dig deep because when I was with my ex-husband, I could not just place the blame of him being who he was
mhm,
just on him.
mhm.
Because what about me attracted him?
Right, right,
What about me made him think that he could treat me that way? Because we
right.
teach people how to treat us.
Exactly, exactly. That's so
So
true.
I really had to dig deep with that.
Mhm,
And come to find out, just being true to myself. And I thought I was always an honest person and very direct and forward, but I wasn't completely
mhm,
honest with myself.
mhm.
Because I knew the only thing I liked about that man, I when he would talk to me, it was like I heard birds chirping. You know, I just thought he was fine and all that, but I never considered, his intellect. I never considered his financial stability. I never considered any of those things.
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah.
I had to be honest about where I was
Right.
when I decided to get with this man.
Right. So what
I
else
had
would
to
you
be honest
say?
with myself
Yeah.
about my manipulative tactics on
Mm.
how I got him.
Mm.
So there was trickery from the beginning.
Mm.
So when his representative showed up, my representative showed up.
Uh
So later on down the line in the
huh.
relationship, we were with two totally different people.
Right. Right. That's so
This
true.
man didn't know me. You
Yeah.
want to know why he didn't know me? Because I didn't come with the real me.
Right.
I came with what I knew would attract him.
Mhm. And that's so
But
true.
then over the years, I began to reveal me.
Mhm.
Like, this is me. I'm brilliant.
Mm.
I'm motivated. I'm driven. I'm this, I'm that. But the woman that he met was the woman that made sure dinner was ready for him when he got off work, made
Mhm.
sure the house was clean. I looked good all the time. I was, hot to trot. But honey, once I got in that marriage, I was like, okay, this is my husband now. I ain't got to be doing all that, honey. I don't even like doing all that. Sometimes I like to throw me on some little, sweatpants and a t-shirt and walk around my house with my bunny on.
Right.
So when
Yeah.
he was coming home from work and that food wasn't ready, he had an
It became a
attitude. And I'm looking
problem.
at him
It
like,
became a
bro, you can
problem.
cook?
So tell me, so get back to just talking about what we originally started talking about, because I know I kind of
Yeah.
probably threw you off there, but what else would you say to the woman that is still dwelling on some things? What can they do to no longer dwell on some of those experiences?
Okay, so first we got the being honest with yourself.
Mhm.
Second, you did that stuff up, you gotta forgive yourself.
Mhm.
You gotta forgive yourself for everything.
Right.
Forgive yourself and forgive other people because
Mm.
that's going to release you.
Right.
Once you're released, there's no more bondage now.
Right.
You're released. So I would say that third thing that you have to do is take everything that you've been through
Mhm.
and use it as a catalyst
Mm.
for you, like they say, leveling up,
Mhm.
or you know and my transformation began roughly 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Even though I had been through all of this stuff and I had been through the depression and I kept going through this cycle,
Mhm.
because I was homeless. I would get a good job, lose the job, lose my house, and I
Mm.
just kept going through this cycle. And I'm
Mm.
like, what is wrong? God, you allow me to pull myself up by my bootstraps,
Mhm.
but I keep ending back up in the same position.
Hmm.
So at that point, that's when it became evident to me that okay, everything that you've been through, it does push you.
Right.
However, you're allowing it to push you in the wrong way.
Hmm.
See, when you make your decisions out of emotions and you
Right.
feel like you got to prove something, or I ain't gonna never go through that no more,
Yeah.
that's when you continue to repeat the situation. You
Over and
have
over
to
again. Yep.
learn.
Mhm.
You have to learn why you are in that particular situation over and over again.
Mhm.
So once you learn that, and I'll just tell you how I learned it.
Mhm.
I recognized that there was a pattern,
Yep.
but I didn't know what the pattern was connected to.
Hmm.
So once I recognized it, I sat with God, I prayed, and I was just like, okay, I don't want to go through this ever again.
Mhm.
So I need to know what
Right.
it is I'm doing. See,
Mhm.
that's where you have to take that accountability
Right.
because it's something you're doing. So
Right.
I was like, what is it that I'm doing?
Yes.
And
Look at
you
self
know the
first.
scripture in the you know the scripture in the Bible where it says the dog will go back to his own vomit.
Yeah. Mhm. Yep.
So
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
so
ma'am. I
I
mean, and
know
that's the part
good
we don't want to. That's the part we don't want to admit. But that's yes, yes, ma'am.
when I did that. So
Mhm.
although I had left my ex-husband and things were getting on track and I was doing good and then I would fall and get back up, fall and get back up again, I was trying to figure out why was this a repetitive situation.
Mhm.
Okay, because I was trying to put new wine in
Come
old wine.
on. Come on. Come on.
So I was taking my same old attitude, my same old mentality, my
Mhm.
same old into
Mhm.
something new. And
Right.
so, even though God was blessing me, I
The
wasn't ready
rest
to
of you
bless.
hadn't come up to that. Huh? The rest of you hadn't come up to it.
No,
Yeah.
God said, "Okay, so you still ain't ready yet." Okay.
Yep.
And when I tell you, when God blesses you, there's no sorrow attached to it.
Right.
So you will end up with stuff that you in your mind know that how in the world could I have this when I ain't did that?
Right.
But that ain't for God. So when I started going through the trials and tribulation like over and over, and it was the same. When I tell you it was the same thing,
Mhm.
I would get my home.
Yeah.
I would be blessed with beautiful furniture. Next thing I know, I got a good job. I'm working. I'm moving on up. Things are going good, and boom!
Mhm.
Like every year, it was like a cycle.
Right.
I would have like a
Yep. And it's
3 4
yeah.
month period where it would
Mhm.
just bounce off, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yep.
So
So it's so important to
he revealed
recognize
it to
that.
me. He revealed it to me,
Mhm.
and so I decided. I said, okay, this is my pivot right
Mm.
here.
Mhm.
I know
You got to decide
that
it. Yep.
you got to decide.
Yep.
Now I know that I'm in a place of self destruction.
Hmm.
Why? Because I have the
Hmm.
same mindset of fear and worry, you know, manipulation,
Mhm.
all of this thing that is not of God. They were still attached to me.
Right.
There were, oh, I'm trying to cut this corner, trying to do this thing because robbing Peter to pay Paul instead of just being upfront on the phone and saying, hey, I don't have this
Mhm.
bill money this month. Can I make an arrangement to pay it on this day?
Right.
Instead of
Right.
just being, honest, I'm
Mhm.
still like, oh my God, out of
Mhm.
fear,
Mhm.
operating emotionally out of fear. So
Right.
once I realized that that's where I was and that's
Mhm.
what I was doing,
Mhm.
I decided that I wasn't going to do it anymore. And it didn't matter how painful it was, and it didn't matter who didn't like me no more. It
Mhm.
didn't matter any of that.
Right.
I just decided that I'm gonna do what's best for me from
Mhm.
this point. And so I went through my homeless phase. 2018 was the last year that me and my kids were homeless.
Hmm.
So, but it started in 2013.
Hmm. With
Five
those cycles. Mhm.
5 whole years, I was going through this up and down, back
Mhm.
and forth. And so when I decided I was staying with my mother-in-law,
Mhm.
sleeping on the floor,
Mhm.
I was working at FedEx, breaking my back. When I tell you they was working me like a slave, they was working me like a slave. And I said, God, now this ain't the vision that you gave me.
Mhm.
And so I woke up one day and I walked downstairs and I asked her, I said, do you mind if I cook in your kitchen? And she said, no, I
Mhm.
don't use it. You know, she said, yeah, you can cook. And I said, I'll pay the electricity bill because I know what I'm about to do. I'm going to be cooking a lot. It's going to,
Mhm.
increase the bill. She said, that's fine, babe. So when I tell you I started my business in somebody else's kitchen, I
Hmm.
started my business in somebody else's kitchen.
Hmm.
So
And
I
look,
had
y'all, that
already
food look
been
good.
building
If y'all
that.
kiss the cooking heels. I go on there
That's it.
sometimes and my mouth just be salivating looking at your food on your page. So whenever
Listen,
I come near Atlanta, I'm expecting a plate.
you gonna get it. You gonna get it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And
But I, I just, I just had to make a decision, and I
mhm.
had to be real honest, and also trust in God because
Mhm.
I knew that He had given me this vision years ago
Mhm.
because I started catering service back in 2005.
Hmm.
So God had dropped this vision on me years ago,
But now
and
you're ready to
because
actually
of my
walk in it.
hurdles, so 2018, well, I
Mhm.
actually started dibbling in 2017 with my
Mhm.
food,
Mhm.
but because of the transitioning of being homeless, I would have to stop, start,
Mhm.
stop, start.
Mhm.
So 2018, it was like, you know what? This is what brings me the most joy.
Mhm.
This is what I will absolutely do for free,
Mhm.
and done this for free. And so when God tells you that your gifts will make room for you,
Mhm.
believe Him
Yes.
because this has allowed me to just connect with people on a level that I desire to connect with people
Mhm.
because many years ago, 2008 to 2011, I was embarking on a speaking career. So I
Mhm.
wanted to do the speaking and the life coach and all of
Mhm.
that good. But I also wanted to do my cooking.
Mhm.
So it's to God and I asked God to combine those gifts where I can utilize them simultaneously.
Hmm.
And so that is why I have two companies, Soul Beautiful Living and Kiss the Cook and Heals.
Mhm.
But Kiss the Cook and Heals allows me to connect with people. Food is that bridge for me.
Yes. Yes. Most
That
definitely.
that is the bridge for
Mhm.
me to connect with other people. And so a lot of people don't understand that part of it, but
Mhm.
I know that that's how God connects me with people. And then once I'm connected with people, I
Mhm.
can share my testimony
Mhm.
and help somebody
Mhm.
make a decision to
Amen.
live better,
I
be
love
better.
it. I love it. I love it. And like I said at the beginning, our stories are not wasted. What we go
No.
through, God uses it, and He has a purpose for it. And now, I'm sure, based on everything you've shared, you're able to, once you're gone through some of those things, you're able to have more compassion on other people. You're able to reach people that you wouldn't have been able to reach had you not experienced some of those things. Because sometimes
Yeah.
people only respond to people who have actually been where they are. And so, I'm happy to hear that about your businesses. I wish you much success. We've been on here about an hour and 15 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and end this shortly. So I wanted to know if you had any final thoughts that you want to share. Also, if you can also share out your social media handles. So because I'm sure somebody want to follow you and see some of that delicious food that you prepare. And like I said, don't forget
Okay.
about me. Whenever I get to ATL,
You
I'm
gotta let
coming
me
for you.
know.
We're gonna hook up.
Have it
All
get
right.
out.
So I really do think, thank God for this connection that we were able to have. Like I said, I don't know Alysia at all in person. I only met her through her TikTok video that she did sharing her testimony, and a girlfriend of mine shared her video with me. So that is the power, y'all, of social media, and the power of, a lot of times these things can be used for evil, but there really is
Hmm.
power in being able to reach an audience that you wouldn't be able to reach other than a social media outlet. Thank you so much, Gretchen,
Yeah.
for joining. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining. I appreciate it. She says, great message. And so I'm sure that your story, Alysia, has blessed those who are listening and those who will listen to the replay. So again, if you would just go ahead and share your social media handles, if someone would like to follow you, that way they can connect with you further after this live.
Okay. It is Kiss the Cook in Heels across TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook.
Hmm.
Kiss the Cook in Heels.
All right. So thank you so much, Alysia, for joining. Again, I was blessed by you sharing tonight, and I'm sure those that were listening were also blessed by you. And we will connect further because remember, I told you you got to get me together with TikTok.
That's it. I'm
and
gonna get you
so
together
and
with.
so we are going to connect further. But thank you so much, sis, for being on. So I'm going to go ahead. I need to make a couple of announcements for the next session. So I for the next time for tea with Armory. So I'm going to go ahead and take you off the live. But again, thank you so much for being here with me tonight.
You for having me. I hope that all of the ladies enjoyed it and took some nuggets from it.
I'm
Thank you
sure
so
they
much.
did. You're very welcome. Have a great rest of your night.
You too. Bye.
Alrighty. Bye bye. All right, ladies. So I hope that you all enjoyed that. I just did want to announce that the next 2 weeks I'm going to be hosting watch parties for Time for Tea with Armory. I will not have live shows for the next 2 weeks. And so that is July 9th and I believe July 16th. And so for the next 2 weeks, again, we will not have a live showing, but I will host watch parties of some previous shows that we've done. So again, keep watching, keep sharing this out. And thank you so much for being here. So I will see you all next time. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Bye bye.